So Charles Barkley has made headlines for some comments that he made on the King Charles show when he was asked what he thought about Donald Trump saying that now that he's got a mugshot, black people love him and are going to vote for him. Barkley did not hold back. Take a look at this clip.
And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts.
When you heard that, what did you think? Big sigh.
First of all, I'm just going to say this. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
Charles.
Gail.
You really can't say that because, A, you don't mean that.
Oh, I mean that sincerely. I'm going to just tell you something.
And then you will be arrested for assault. And then what?
I'm going to bail myself out and go celebrate. If I
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. Okay, but go ahead.
Seriously.
Continue.
First of all, if I was at
that conference,
I'd have got up and walked out. That was an insult to all black people. Because he's basically just saying, and first of all, to compare black history where we've been discriminated against to his plight.
Yes.
Well, first of all, he's a billionaire. And they're prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. They're prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. And for him to compare...
It's still in the court system, Charles. We have to wait. It's still in the court system. But continue.
Well,
continue.
Some of the stuff is true. They did storm the Capitol. They did say that the election was stolen. Those aren't lies, Gail. Those are
They
facts.
did say that. They did say that.
But to compare, I would have got up and walked out because it's not a fair comparison. You know, he's a billionaire. He's had a great life. He's been president of the United States. To insult black people who have been discriminated against all these years, to put them in the same category, I was just offended.
Now, first of all, I just want to say that I don't condone violence in any way, and I'm not suggesting that you walk up to someone and punch them in the face based on what kind of shirt they're wearing, okay? But Barkley is spot on right here. They should have got up and walked out. If there was black people in that audience, they absolutely should have got up and walked out because that is a slap in the face and an insult to everything that black people has been through over hundreds and hundreds of years. You cannot compare the two. They are not comparable. You got a guy who was a billionaire. Daddy gave him a small loan of $1 million, had everything handed to him in his life. Was able to go through the world Teflon Don, nothing sticking to him, never being held accountable for anything, and then thought he could become president of the United States, and did, became the president of the United States, and completely just had no regard whatsoever for how government worked, just completely ran rampant over everybody, incited a riot on our nation's capital because he lost and he wasn't man enough to own up to it and admit it and just take a loss like a man. And we're still going through all this today because of that. And this guy, we could sit here, and I've said these things, so I don't have notes in front of me, but I've said this stuff so many times it sticks. The guy has got 4 indictments. He's got 91 charges. He's been found liable of sexual abuse. He's been found guilty of fraud. He's been ordered to pay millions upon millions of dollars. And he wants to compare that he got a mugshot that now black people will relate to him. It is such a slap in their face. Black people were kept in slavery for hundreds of years, and they have struggled for equality ever since the Civil War ended and they were freed. It has been an ongoing battle for years, and they've been trying to get us to listen to them. And so many people in my part of the world will shove it under the rug because they've never been exposed to it. What I would say to black people out there is this. I grew up in a very white part of the world, okay? I didn't see a black person in grade school ever. When I got to middle school, there might have been one there the whole time I was there. When I got to high school, there might have been 2 or 3 in the entire 4 years that I was there. I think there was one in my graduating class. But people in my part of the world weren't around black people. They really aren't here. I mean, it's just, that's just how it is. And so they grow up and they get told by white people what black people goes through. And I've been guilty of laughing at jokes. I've been guilty of repeating jokes. I've been guilty of not understanding certain things. I've been guilty of thinking that the Confederate flag just meant Leonard Skinner and Southern rock and roll because that's how we were taught. And that's how we were groomed. I'll own it. We were. So you have to grow up and you have to educate yourself and you have to read for yourself and learn for yourself and discover that, hey, the things I've been taught isn't necessarily true. Just because I got made fun of for my hillbilly accent, and just because I got made fun of because I came from a holler in Kentucky that was actually called a beans fork. I mean, you can imagine all the jokes people made out over that. You eat your beans with a fork. I got that all the time. You could imagine that, yeah, as a little Appalachian kid, I got poked fun at for the way I was dressed and the way I talked and the holler I came from. But I wasn't being judged for the color of my skin. And I grew up and I began experiencing life and I began seeing what black people went through, and I began meeting black people and talking with them and hearing about their run-ins with the police and comparing them to my run-ins with the police, and it was completely night and day different. I had to recognize those things. And the reason why that so many people will just let it go over their shoulder, and they'll look over, you heard people clapping when Trump said it. When Trump says that, there's people clapping. Why? Because they don't understand racism anyway. And when you tell them it's racist, you're just saying that because there's so many people in my part of the world that if you say you're a racist for saying something racist, it's just what liberals love to say. They call everything racist. No, we call racism racist, and you're just going to have to get used to that. But I want to show you guys another clip because I want to talk about this. I want to talk about how that the sides will react to this. If you'll notice, Gail did try to walk it back and say, hey, Charles, you can't be doing that. But let's go over now and look at how Fox reacted to Barkley's comments, because we have to talk about this. Roll the clip.
So, Judge, I'm old enough to remember, I think, last week where we had a whole segment about how much everyone loves Charles Barkley. Have you changed your mind now?
No, you know why? Isn't he the one who said that if they had that All-Star game or whatever it was, that you'd have to wear a Kevlar vest if you wanted to be in Los Angeles because it's so dangerous because of Biden and the Democrats and Newsom? But I'll stop there. You know what I'd like? I would like Tyrus to put on a Donald Trump shirt, and I'd like to see Barkley knock out Tyrus. Ain't gonna happen.
Hummer?
I like Barkley. I think he's a nice guy, but I think he's just looking for ratings because I don't know anyone watching CNN on a Saturday night. And that's a brand new show, and I'm not so sure anybody's.
Well, no one's watching it because they don't like what they're seeing.
I think that Charles needs to start holding Gail's hand when he's about to say something that is a problem, and then it'll get better.
The Jesse method?
Sure. Every time I see a white Biden supporter with a Biden hat, I want to punch them in the face, but I never see any people wearing Biden stuff.
Same with black people wearing Trump's mugshot, so you're even.
Oh, I've seen about 3 of them.
Yeah.
I gave him a high five.
Okay. One more thing is up next.
You know what, folks? You could have played me that clip right there with the mute button on. And I could have watched each guest speak, and I guarantee you I would have got close to what it was they were going to say because they're so predictable. First of all, I would just like to see him to knock out Tyrus. I'd like to see him take a swing at Tyrus. I bet he ain't man enough to do that. And then, of course, he's looking for ratings. No one watches CNN. No one believes that. He's just looking for ratings. They say that because that's all Donald Trump is about. Donald Trump is only about getting ratings. Donald Trump doesn't have solutions. Donald Trump doesn't have ideas. Neither does Fox News. They're just about doing anything they can for ratings. So it's funny to me that they would, try to point out, he's just trying to get ratings when that's everything Fox News does. And then, of course, you never see anybody wearing I would punch a Biden. Jesse Waters, he never disappoints. Well, I would punch a Biden supporter, but I've never seen one wearing his merch because they don't wear his merch. No. We don't wear Biden merch, okay? We don't. Because, I'm sure some out there do. But we don't have flags flying off our trucks. We don't have flags flying from our boats. We don't have cardboard cutouts of him in our living room, okay? We don't worship the guy. Joe Biden is a politician that we vote for. And at the moment, he's the best man for the job. If someone came along that was a better person for the job, we're reasonable people who would say, wait a minute, hold on. We've got somebody over here that's the better man for the job. But right now, we have Joe Biden and we have a maniac that we are trying to stop from getting his hands on democracy so that he can destroy it. And for the first time in our lives, we're going to the polls in November and we're voting to keep democracy alive. We're not even talking about, who should pay for this or who should pay for that. It's not even that anymore. It's not, should we be in this country? Should we not be in this country? Who's going to pay for the health care? No. Now it's, are we ever going to be able to vote again? That's why we're going. That's why We don't wear his merch. But, of course, that's where Jesse Waters would take it. It's all about merch. It's all about ratings. I'd like to see you try to punch him. And I could sit here and I could show you countless clips of Donald Trump talking about how he would like to punch people. I could show you all the people on January 6th and all the stuff. But I know you guys have seen it. I know you're sick and tired of seeing it. I know that it's a nightmare that we can't wake up from. But I understand. I want to say that I understand Barkley's frustration. And I understand that long-winded sigh. But I understand it from a distance. I don't understand that as a black man. I don't know what... I know it had to be humiliating. I know it had to be disgusting. But when he took that long sigh, I said to myself, yeah, I get it. I get why that's an insult to you. But I can't imagine how that really feels, because I've not actually had to walk in their shoes. And people really need to stop and think about that before they just jump on board with just any harebrained bullshit that Trump spews.